How do you do, fellow Trade League enjoyers? Hopefully this video is going to help you make absolute bank in last Epoch, so let's get into it. Okay, so first things first, we need to know what we can actually sell on the market, and that's going to be your relics, it's going to be your rare gear, your exalted gear, your set pieces, your unique gear, and legendary items. And what you can't sell are your dungeon keys, your shards, your runes, and your glyphs. Alright, so now we know what items we can actually sell, we need to know what we need to look for on these items. Alright, so let's talk about idols then. So, in my inventory, I have a good idol, and I have a bad idol. What makes this one on the left a good idol is that anybody can use it, there's no class restriction on it, so we have a lot more potential buyers for it. It also has increased health, which is a good mod for all players. There's also elemental resistance, another good mod for all players, so a combination of those two good mods for everyone on an idol that's good for everyone, or usable by everyone I should say, makes this actually worth something. Now what makes it worth even more is if I hold control and alt, you can see that increased health is actually max roll, and the elemental resistance is nearly max roll, it's only 1% off. Okay, so on screen right now is an example of a good rogue exclusive idol. As you can see, it's usable by practically all rogues, including the meta rogue builds. Now compare that to the one we have in our inventory, which has increased damage per arrow with multi-shot and dodge rating if hit recently. This one is only good for rogues that are playing multi-shot with dodge. It's useless for literally every other rogue build, so that's the main reason why this is worthless. Okay, so on page 86 I finally found an idol that's just like mine, with 5 health and 7 LE res, and the guy wants 300,000 for it. So what I'm going to do is list it for a bit cheaper than him. We'll throw that in. Idols are quite cheap to list, as you can see it's only 200 favour. I'll do 285k and undercut them by 15k, and hopefully that sells. Alright, so moving on to rare items then. So, like last time, I've got a good item on the left and a bad item on the right. What you'll notice as well, rare items can have up to 4 mods, 5 if you include glyphs, but we won't include that for this. And you also have your implicit, whereas idols are only 2 mods with no implicit. So this ring has the implicit of crit strike chance. If I throw it into the forge you can see the mods. So we have tier 5 fire damage and tier 5 elemental damage. Both of those pair really nicely with the implicit. So that's the main 3 sort of things I'd be looking for, are those prefixes with the implicit. The suffixes don't really matter since most of them are good, or usable. So in this case we have Necro Res and we got Block Chance. Sadly neither of them are tier 5, but at least they're on there. Then we've got this axe, which is the bad item. Now this is all over the place, right? So we've got an axe which is intended for melee damage with chance to bleed on hit. Okay. So then we've got necro damage, fire damage, chance to blind on hit, and minion spell and bow damage. None of those really pair well with melee damage and chance to bleed on hit. So that's a worthless item. Okay, so I've searched on the market and found 2 similar rings to what I have, with a minimum of tier 4 on the fire and elemental damage. As you can see, both of the ring bases aren't the best for this, so I'm going to price my ring a bit more expensive than theirs. They also don't have the best suffixes like me, so I think I'm going to put it up at about 150k. Another good thing about rare items, it only costs 150 favour to list, so you can spam these things out there. They're so cheap to list, and you get a good chunk of cash back for them. They're probably my favourite thing to actually sell, especially given how easy it is to craft them. Okay, so moving on to Exalts then. So there's 2 reasons why someone would buy an Exalted item, and it's either to use for the tier 6 or tier 7 mod, or it's to fuse together with a unique item and form a legendary. So, on the left we have a good pair of gloves, and on the right we have a bad dagger. So why is the pair of gloves good? Well, if we throw them into the forge, first of all it has a tier 7 exalted mod which is poison res. Okay, so that's good. We have tier 5 Necro Res, we have tier 5 cast speed, and tier 5 crit strike chance. All of those are like good mods in general that someone might want to slam onto a pair of unique gloves. If they don't, it's also a decent pair of gloves to use as they are. Okay, and then we have this Dreadful Dagger. Now, whilst it is an exalted item with tier 6 chance of poison on hit, all of the other mods don't work well with poison. Now, if it had increased poison damage or damage over time, then yeah, I could see someone buying this. But with these mods, especially with this low of a tier, no one is buying this. Not even to use with a unique item to form a legendary. Because the chances are they're going to roll something like melee cold damage on a poison weapon, which does absolutely nothing for them. So yeah, don't sell stuff like this, you're just going to waste your favour. Okay, so here's one more thing I should mention with Exalts. Now, whilst this pair of gloves, for example, sells for about 300k right now, the actual listing fee is 1000 favour, right? So for 1000 favour, you could actually list 6 rare items, and you'd easily make over 300k with that. So unless the exalted item is worth about $1 mil, I wouldn't even bother, to be honest. Yeah, just throw them on the floor, they're worthless. Okay, so unique items. So generally speaking, these aren't worth anything. So if I come here, go to unique, search, low to high, you'll find a lot that are just 0 coins. Even if I go to more, legendary potential 1, search, still 0 coins, legendary potential 2, search, still 0 coins. When you get to 3 though, they actually cost something, so you're looking for unique items with 3 legendary potential, and outside of the legendary potential uniques, the only uniques I know that have a value are the Throne of Ambition, which is 123k, and then we have the Weaver's Will uniques, but they only seem to be worth money if they've got like 20 Weaver's Will on them. So yeah, those are the only other ones I know of. Okay, so legendaries. Unless you hit like a good exalt on it, or if you hit like a triple LP item with 3 good mods, I don't think it's really worth your time to sell. They're extremely expensive to list, and I don't think people really want to pay, like this guy, 100k for something that rolls slow. So yeah, avoid legendaries unless you've got like really good mods on it. Okay, so we're finally going to go and make some bank. Now, if you didn't skip to this part of the video, you probably figured out by now that my favourite thing to do is to actually sell rare items. So what we're going to do then is get a rare item, we're going to craft it, and then we're going to sell it. Just like my Crafting for Profit series in Path of Exile. So, what are you going to need then? You're going to need to get yourself Glyphs of Hope, you're going to need to get yourself Glyphs of Chaos, and you might need to get yourself Rune of Shattering as well, if you don't have the shards for whatever item you're making. Oh, and of course you're going to need an item with Forging potential. Okay, so now that you've got your item and your materials, you're going to put that into your forge, and hopefully you've got a decent spread of affixes already. If not, it's fine. Just hopefully you don't have like 2 tier 5 mods that go against one another. Anyway, in this case I've got tier 2 mana, tier 5 crit strike multi, tier 3 elemental res, and tier 4 health and stun avoidance. And the base item has health on it. So it's a good universal base that gives health. Health and stun obviously is going to be good for this. Early res is good for everyone, as I explained earlier. So okay, we got 2 good things as our suffixes. Prefixes, crit is tier 5, so we can't change that anyway, unless we remove the entire thing. So what we're going to do then is try and swap out this mana. Now mana can be decent, but I think we could do better by getting either crit chance or by getting like fire damage or early damage. Some form of extra damage. So what I'm going to do first of all is upgrade the tier of health and stun, and we're going to use a Glyph of Hope. This gives us a 1 in 4 chance to not use our forging potential, and that one actually worked. And it also increased our early resistance because we got lucky. We're going to increase early resistance as well then to tier 5. Okay, and now all we've got left to do is improve this mana. and we've got 23 forging potential left. So we're going to swap to our Glyphs of Chaos. This is going to randomly swap this mana affix into a different affix. So if we reroll, we got mana regen, we don't want that, we're going to reroll again. Go increase healing effectiveness. I mean, that's usable, but again, it's not something I want, so we're going to hope and get something that improves our damage. Okay, so we got increased area for area skills. That's actually not too bad. Alright, so checking the market, there's only 2 similar amulets for sale, and they both want 200k for them. Now, I would personally price mine around 150k just to try and get it gone faster than theirs. Obviously, for one, this guy has with a crit strike chance will be a bit more DPS than mine, but mine will have a bit more survivability than his. So it depends if the person that's looking for these kind of amulets is looking for more survivability or looking for more damage. Anyway, we're going to list this for 150k. Okay, so this time I have a quiver. The implicits on this thing are physical res and necro res. It has tier 5 health on kill, tier 4 cold res, tier 4 lightning damage, and tier 4 fizz damage. Now the cold res I can just upgrade to tier 5 since that's fine, but I don't like having 2 different damage types on the prefixes. So I'm going to try and change either fizz damage or lightning damage into like crit or something. And if that fails, for example if lightning turns into fire damage, then I'll try the physical damage, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's use a Glyph of Hope on cold res. That sadly used a lot of our forging potential. Anyway, we're going to Glyph of Chaos onto lightning. We got cold damage sadly, so I'm going to Glyph of Chaos onto fizz damage, and hopefully we can get rid of that. Okay, we got Dex, so that's not too bad. Okay, so checking the market, there's only 6 similar quivers, and only one of them is remotely close to what I have, and this guy wants 400k for it. So what I'm going to do is throw mine up for about 300k, since I like to undercut people, and hopefully mine sells. Alright, so if you're curious on how I get so many rare items with high tier affixes without me even crafting on them, basically in my loot filter what I do is recolor all rare items. So where it says affixes here, I have everything selected. And under advanced options I have total affix tiers of more or equal than 15. And I have it to recolor everything obviously to like a pink color because it stands out. So whenever I see a pink item drop, I know it's a rare item I can craft on. Okay, so let's talk about the Rune of Shattering then. So if we look at this axe, we can see it has tier 4 increased area for melee area skills, right? Now let's say I wanted to upgrade that to tier 5. Well, I can't because I don't have one of those shards. So what I'll do is come here. We'll type in area. Search. Rare. And load a high. Okay, so there's one here that costs nothing. I'm going to buy that. And we'll throw it in here. And we'll use a Rune of Shattering and hope we get the increased area. And just like that, we got increased area. And now we can actually modify this however we like. Right, so I just want to quickly go over this rare Book Exalt. So as you can see, the base type has increased minion damage and increased health and some int. And I rolled on it minion damage and minion health. I also got ward per second and some cold res. So obviously the most important 2 mods on that item there is the increased minion damage and the increased minion health, since the implicit is minion based. So yeah, that's why that sold for 300k. Okay, so here's another example of a book I sold that has minion implicits and obviously minion affixes as well. This one's actually a lot better in my opinion. But I only sold it for 200k, and it sold within a few seconds, because very clearly I underpriced it. Obviously this was when I just started trading in this game, so I was still figuring out the market. Okay, so let's look at one more item then, and that's going to be this gold ring. Obviously the implicit here is 16% elemental resistance. On the ring itself I got tier 5 increased elemental damage over time. Tier 5 increased elemental damage, so those 2 mods together are already really good and adds a lot of value. On top of I had tier 5 health, so again it's adding a lot of value, and to top that off I got 13% elemental resistance, which pairs really nicely with the implicit, giving us a total of 29% elemental resistance, with all that damage and health on top, and that's why this ring sold for 300k. Alright, so that's going to wrap up this video. Hopefully I helped you out, and if you need any help with anything else, just let me know, and I'll get back to you. And yeah, it's almost 7:30 in the morning, so sorry if I sound tired throughout this video. I've been recording it all night, and now I've got to try not to die at work, because I got work in a couple of hours. Oh, also it's the 1st of March, so Gŵyl Dewi happy to see pawb. That means Happy St. David's Day, everyone. And yeah, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.